This is Roseanne. I'm sure you probably know who she is, but she's the one that believes that, like, Democrats are literal vampires, literal blood-drinking vampires. I want to talk about her because she spoke to this guy named Jovan Pulitzer, or Jovan, or I don't even know how his name's pronounced. If you don't know this guy, you will in a second.
I'm going to give you a name of somebody. You come back and give me one name or one descriptive word. Trump.
Don't take this wrong, but remember I'm Jewish, and a Messiah is, in Judaism, is a person who would bring the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to the world. A Messiah means a great leader, a great prophet. I believe that Donald J. Trump is a Messiah for what's called the New Jerusalem, which is the United States of America. He was it, and he opened everybody's eyes. That's the only way I could describe him. He's a prophecy fulfilled.
Dude literally thinks that Donald Trump is a prophet of God. No joke. A prophet of God. So anyway, I want to listen to his conversation with Roseanne here. Hang on, let me pull it up again. Where the hell did I put it? All right, so let's listen to this guy talk about how great Donald Trump is as a prophet of God. And listen to Roseanne talk about how totally 100% correct he is on this subject.
So excited because we're going to break it all down for you and tell you what you got to do. Everybody's asked me, well, okay, if these are the problems, what should we do about it? So here I am to tell you, welcome to the Roseanne Barr podcast.
Oh, you see, my patience is growing.
When I've said before, I only interview geniuses.
Has she said that? Okay.
And I've kept my promise to do that. Well, I got me another genius to talk to today. And he's on, I'd say like 5th level genius.
No, he's not.
And I'm so happy to have him. Hi, Jovan Pulitzer.
Jovan.
How you doing?
Is it
Oh, Jovan. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Jovan? I said
That's my
after all
fault.
that practicing.
That's my fault. I thought it was Jovan. I should have told. It's my fault.
Jovan Pulitzer.
He goes.
Hi, Jovan.
How you doing? Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. You can call me whatever you want.
Wow, she does not know how to act in an awkward situation.
It is technically Jovan.
Well, because
Yes,
we
it
have
is,
a
technically.
friend that has the same name. But anyway,
But it's
yours
Jovan.
is Jovan.
He's American.
Jovan is a cool name.
Thank you.
And I just saw you on my girl.
Reason is because J's are pronounced like Y's and W's like V's in Germany. Johann is a really common German name. Johann, Johan. Yeah, that's how it's spelled. So anyway, that's probably why she made that mistake. It's an understandable one.
Girlfriend Mel K show too.
Isn't she wonderful?
Oh, Mel K. No, they're talking about Mel K right now. Simon and Schuster. Oh no, don't tell me she's written a book. Oh my God, dude, she wrote a book. Oh no, I cannot believe that. Simon and Schuster paid for her book. Wow. Why can I not find anything from Mel K right now? Let me just look at, hang on.
That is where all roads lead to that group. And it always has. Some people call them the Octagon group. Some people call them the banking cabal, the international banking cabal. But all debt slavery, all money laundering. They say that Bank of International Settlements is sitting on like $23 quadrillion. So, and that's our money.
Oh my God, quadrillion dollars. $23 quadrillion. That amount of money does not exist in the world, but okay.
Of all of our countries, of all of our taxes, because they control it. Every country that has a central bank at the top of the rung, including our Fed, is that bank.
Our government doesn't have a bank at the top of our government or whatever. It's not a government entity, but whatever. Anyway, she's a total conspiracy theorist to the point. She's insane. I can't believe I don't have anything from her. I've covered her a few times.
Well,
How brilliant is she?
I call her the warrior princess. She's like Wonder Woman. She's it.
Can you believe
Okay. Warrior Woman was Xena, not what did he say? Wonder Woman? Two different princess warriors, okay?
that brain of hers?
She is. When it comes to breaking this stuff down and digging deep and really knowing how this evil works, she's it. She's the top of the pyramid.
She
I
is
agree.
the top of the
No.
pyramid. Another woman who's really a digger deeper is called Magalit with Brenna J, who I can't get a hold of. But man, she goes deep. She called everything that's happening now 2 years ago.
Wow.
No, she did not.
She's emailed you.
Everything. I know, but she never answers
Yeah.
me. I got her back. I go, come on, let's talk. And then I don't hear from her for months. A lot of people are like that. A lot of us a lot of us who are on a 40,000 view world
Right.
are a little bit autistic, right?
Absolutely. I think it takes it. You have to be autistic and off to do what we do, I believe.
Right.
That's an interesting thing to say.
Right.
Okay.
It helps you. It's a gift.
It is a gift. Now, you being a genius and an autist, which everybody who's any kind of respectable anon or digger deeper is one of them.
Right.
Because you get a hold of a bone like a dog and you ain't going to let that bone go.
Right.
Till you get every piece of meat off it, right? And that's how we are with information.
Until you can explain it to yourself. You got to dig deeper. We want answers. That's why when we were growing up as kids, we got in trouble for asking why.
Nobody gets in trouble for asking why, okay? There's just a line to it. I always said when I'm a parent, I'm going to be the parent that just answers. Every time they ask why, I'm going to tell them, no matter what, no matter how much explaining it takes. And when I finally got myself into that situation, I found that it's way too complicated at some point. Like, their brains literally are not advanced enough at a certain age to understand the answers to the question why that they're asking. The point is that no one gets in trouble for that. They just don't get the answer sometimes because their brains are not advanced enough for it.
Yeah.
And then the second question, but why?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's the way it is. You got to fill in those holes that are in your brain, and you need information to do it. So we
Holes in your brain. Yep.
tend to dig, and we dig very deep.
And because it's amazing, because I told you my grandson Cosmo, he said, Mom, he asked me, he goes, I don't understand why everybody hates the Jews. All we are is nerds and autistics. Why?
Okay, wow. That's interesting. Well, there's a real answer to this question, and I could answer it, and I might, but let's keep listening. Roseanne, I believe, is Jewish, by the way. Not culturally, but like, she was born into a Jewish family who, I think some of them like died in the Holocaust.
Why do they hate us? And then it became clear to me that everything the Jewish people and, others too, but everybody who suffered for a long, long time under persecution of states,
Right.
artificial states too,
Correct.
of pharaohs and royals
Oh, okay.
and bosses and owners, everybody who's suffered under those, I think God made us that way and made us suffer that way so that we would be autistic in an age of information.
I don't understand. So she's saying that she believes that God put Jews through suffering so that they would be autistic in an age of suffering. Am I hearing this right? As Firefly Whisper says, this is such brain rot. Yes, indeed it is. It is complete and total brain rot.
We live in the greatest access to information in the world, and at the same time, they've taught everybody to rely on 140 characters in a headline or tweet. That's it. And yes, all our wounds, our Swiss cheese as Jews searching for answers, and just the why, what is it, has become our greatest, should we say, weapon or tactic we have, is to look and try to fill those holes and understand. And it's through our trauma that has led us to become warriors for understanding. And just look at the people that have changed the world that come from Jewish backgrounds.
Well, we have to change it for the better this time, because a lot of Jews who changed the world, it wasn't necessarily for the better of it.
Oh boy. What does that mean? You know what that means, actually? It means she thinks there really is a Jewish conspiracy out there where Jews are trying to blah, 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 blah. She believes in the cabal, apparently.
Everybody.
Well,
But I think this time we got to do it for the better of everybody.
I think we just have to realize that Jewish intellect and history has been hijacked.
It has.
Because people didn't understand handlers.
What? People didn't understand handlers?
That's correct.
Right? So you had great minds that were typed.
Handlers,
right.
Yeah.
You had great minds that were tapped, but we had handlers. It was the handlers that went wrong. But here's how.
What the hell does that mean? Are they saying that Jewish people failed in history because their owners were bad owners? I'm sorry, man. Is that what she's saying? That is psychotic. For the record, Jewish people are hated because of, it goes all the way back to the Black Plague, really. Jews have very often lived separate from every other culture in the world. Like, they've lived in a separate, area or whatever. And they weren't getting sick from the Black Plague because A, they lived separate from everybody else, and B, they had different, death rituals. Like, they had this thing where you don't touch dead bodies under any circumstances and things like that. Different sanitary like rules or whatever. So they weren't getting sick as much, and the Christians nearby blamed them, believed they had some secret Jewish magic they were using, and they started making shit up about them, like that they eat Christian children and stuff. Like, it got real crazy. Started out small. They need Christian blood to sustain themselves, so they were like mixing Christian blood into matzo ball soup, and then it got more extreme and crazy from there. This thing is so annoying, dude. This ball like mechanic is really terrible. Anyway, as time went on, Jews became more and more the eternal scapegoats for everybody's problems in Europe. In 1902, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion document released, this big document blaming Jews for everything, basically, compiling all of the claims over the past 1,000 years about Jews and what they were up to. And yeah, it just kind of exploded from there. They were also considered immigrants in Europe. And you know how countries feel about immigrants. So that's why Jews are not liked, really. Oh, and today, a lot of the problems route back to what Israel is doing right now and how absolutely disgusting, grotesque, and evil the things they're doing are. You know, I'm studying this era of World War II for a book that I'm writing. It's almost done. It's like this close. And I can tell you comfortably that what Israel is doing right now to Palestinians, I saw happen from Germany leading up to World War II. Real ugly shit. Putting people in handcuffs until their circulation cuts off and they have to amputate their hand. That shit's happening in Israel right now. Seriously. It's bad. Anyway, that's why people don't like Jews. It's just old, ridiculous BS. And there's a new modern kind of dislike because of what they're doing to Palestinians.
How I look at it, what
Just like
happened
today.
in 2020 was one of the greatest gifts mankind has ever been given.
Interesting.
Because we don't learn unless there's trauma. We don't take our shoes off to get on an airplane just because somebody decided it's because somebody got on an airplane with something in their shoes that could take us down. We only learn by trauma.
Right.
Now what's happened
Okay, what he means is you learn by trial and error. It's trial and error, not trauma, but okay.
in 2020, we now know more about elections, more about laws, more about the rat bastards and how they do it, how they're enriching themselves, and our eyes are open. And so this is like God passing judgment. Are you worthy of that free will? And that's where we are right now. And then on the Jewish thing about using it for good, yes, we have to use it for good, and we have to refuse the handlers.
Okay. Right, back to the handler thing. This is so weird, dude. I assume that both of them are Jewish, right?
Yeah, because in Exodus they're called the Erev Rav, the good teachers of bad information who lead us astray,
Right.
and use us as their fulcrum, their leverage to enrich themselves. And you know how they get rich? By killing the rest of us and stealing our money.
That's right.
That's right? How is that right? What are you talking about? Who's stealing your money?
It's
right.
such a scam.
Well,
Okay, I'm not listening to her stupid advertisements. Let's keep on going. Wow, her hair is very different here. Love her glasses, though.
Just like they do on the ID channel.
yeah, another tip from Roseanne.
Right.
Okay.
And nothing's changed until time. Right. I think God's testing us. Here's what I think.
I do
think,
too.
you know, in ancient times, God talked through the prophets or whatever the case may be, and they went out to a few. I think if I was to look at this from a godly standpoint, this may be the first time in history that God's talking to every one of us. God's given us sight to every one of us. But what's coming into play is our free will. Are
Right.
we going to exercise our free will? Because, see, I believe evil and darkness, angels and demons, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
has always had an agreement. Evil must tell you what they're going to do.
Yeah, they must.
Why? What are you talking about? Hitler didn't tell anybody what he was going to do. Well, I guess he did. He didn't tell people what he's going to do before he did it, though. A lot of the stuff he did was, like, only told to certain specific people, right? He did express his dislike for Jews early on, but what are they talking about right now? This doesn't mean... I'm sorry, this doesn't even make any sense.
'Cause then
And
you
we
won't-
be, and we
or
be,
else you won't be afraid.
that's right.
And they feed on fear.
There you go. And silent is consent.
Yes.
And so since I truly know that,
Wow.
the veil is thinner than it's ever
Do you hear this guy? Wow. You hear what he's doing? Wow. Also, the veil? What is the veil?
Oh, it
been
is.
right
Yes,
now.
absolutely.
We can see through and see this spiritual war.
Absolutely.
And so what's finally coming down is we now understand this unseen of angels and demons and light and darkness, and that the darkness must tell you. That's why they tell you we're going to rape your kids and turn your boys into girls or your girls into boys. They
Wait, who said that? Is he quoting somebody right now? Silence is consent? Yeah. That's an odd thing to hear from somebody. But it doesn't surprise me that it's this guy that we're hearing it from.
tell us.
Mm-hmm.
We now know it is our own silence that brought us here.
That's right.
This is not a bad cabal that took us over. This is a bad cabal we freaking gave permission to
Yes, we did.
by
with
our
silence.
inactivity.
Wow.
Silence is death.
That's
Amen.
right. So why 2020 was the gift we all got. And God's going, okay. And here's what I say. Look, Jake, have you ever run a foot race?
When I was younger, I can't do
Okay.
it now.
Did you win or did you lose?
Half and half.
Half and half. Have you ever run like a 5K?
No.
Have you ever run a marathon?
No.
Have you ever run against maybe 10,000 people?
No.
100,000 people?
No.
Well, the reality is
Okay, he should have started from the high number. Have you ever run against 100,000 or 10,000? But whatever. We're listening to Genius Jovan Pulitzer over here.
you have, and we don't look at it right. You probably, unless mom says otherwise, you ran a race with 1 billion potential yous
Right.
when it hit her egg.
Right.
Ugh, God. Why? All right, go on.
Now, I just want you to think about that for a minute. You were chosen
I would rather not.
in God's terms to be the winner. Out of all the different versions you could have been, or all the different times in history or in your life you could have been here, or in ancient life for you to come here, he chose to put you here now.
Mhm.
That to me tells me you were chosen here to fight this fight.
I agree.
Period. It is up to us to understand if we believe we're not given more than we can handle. We were all chosen here. We're doing this. You're in the iteration of what you are
Mm-hmm.
because you were hand chosen to fight this fight and to be a voice. And that's the deal. People have to realize we are what they're afraid of. Why do they suppress our speech? Why do they cancel us? Why'd you get booted on YouTube and defunded?
Okay, she wasn't defunded, first of all. I don't know what he means by that. And second, was she even booted from YouTube? She was booted from her own TV show because she called Valerie Jarrett an ape. You know, the black Obama aide called her an ape. That was 100% Roseanne's fault. Roseanne's doing. Every bit of that was on her. So I don't want to hear it.
Because they can't have people's eyes open.
Right.
And so when you understand, everybody watching, it's you that has the power. It's you that has them afraid.
Mhm.
And they use cons to suppress us. And we willingly let them suppress us because you think you can't do anything about it. It's your one voice. When you get brave enough to speak the truth and you get past the crap, we were all taught, don't talk about politics and religion, which
Right.
damn things we should have been talking about.
I mean, you can talk about him. You're just an obnoxious fool if you do it in the wrong contexts. I was never told not to talk about those things, actually. It was always about not talking about it in inappropriate circumstances.
Oh, right?
Yeah, it's the only thing that
When
matters.
you realize it is you they are fighting.
Yeah.
President Trump said they're not after me, they're after you. When you understand
I don't think he said that. I think some meme maker made a meme that said that.
what's called the one voice, let me give you an example. You might one day decide to turn on, like you did, you're going to turn on the cameras, you're going to turn on your phone. But let's say you're a grandmother, right?
Mm-hmm.
You turn on a phone and you just decide this isn't right, and here's how it was when I was a kid. Well, you never know what God might have that one gamer for one weird reason. Here's your broadcast, and it finally goes click. And that's the kid that has 2 million followers that believe this shit.
Right.
And all of a sudden you make them rethink. And through your movement, just because you made a choice, you got to the person that actually changed our destiny. And that's what every of this is about. And that's why you
That
have to speak up and
happens to
speak
me
out.
every single day.
You better believe
I
it.
get the phone calls every day. So I think be louder with your.
I did it
your
quick. I'm
next
sorry. I can edit it out.
And
He didn't edit it out.
so I'll put it out again since you said it, because I felt like you said it because God put it in you to say so I
That's
could
right.
hear
There
it.
you go.
But
Oh my God, dude. These people are insane.
it was, because I really think that it is up to the grandmothers. They got a lot of free time and they got a lot of money.
You better believe it.
And it's time for us to get together and
You know what? I'm starting to remember now. You don't get an Abra until later in this one. You don't get an Abra until the little spot after the underground tunnel, I don't think.
Be the, the judges of what they've done to our country and demand that they allow us to use our constitutional rights and follow the Constitution, which was created by some very intelligent men that knew how to run a government.
Which
Okay.
was divine.
Yes, which was
Yeah.
divinely
Oh my God, it's so stupid.
inspired. And also from the Iroquois Nation is where Benjamin Franklin got his idea of representative government.
Which was
Benjamin Franklin. So you're trying to tell me representative government did not exist before Benjamin Franklin came to the United States and saw Native American tribes doing it? I've never heard that before. Let me just find out. When was representative government? No. All right, let's see here. American Revolution led to the creation of a new Constitution of the U.S. in 1787 with a national legislature based partly on blah, blah, blah. Is that the first one, though? Really? It is. I think it is. I think that's the first representative government. Ancient Rome practiced the earliest known form of representative democracy in the Western world. Romans called it their state a republic. There you go. That's where it came from. Ancient Rome. The United States, though, was the first secular nation on this scale, this large. And they were also, I guess, the first representative democracy on this scale also. I'm assuming based on what I'm reading here. So yeah, that just sounds like complete nonsense. I guess it was, it was a novel government at the time, but where is all this he got it from the Iroquois? Wait, Iroquois. See if we can find out how the Iroquois Great Law of Peace shaped U.S. democracy. All right. Much has been said about the inspiration of the ancient Iroquois Great League of Peace in planting the seeds that led to the formation of the U.S. Government and its representative democracy. The Iroquois Confederacy, founded by the Great Peacemaker in 1142, is the oldest living participatory democracy on Earth. Oh, interesting. 1142. In 1988, the U.S. Senate paid tribute with a resolution that said the confederation of the original 13 colonies into one republic was influenced by the political system developed by the Iroquois Confederacy, as were many of the democratic principles, which were incorporated into the Constitution itself. Okay, interesting. So in 1988, they passed a tribute in Congress. Where does Benjamin Franklin come in here? In 1744, Onondaga leader Canastego gave a speech urging the contentious 13 colonies to unite, as the Iroquois had at the signing of the Treaty of Lancaster. This cultural exchange inspired the English colonist Ben Franklin to print that guy's speech, whatever his name is. We heartily recommend union and good agreement between you, our brethren, so on and so forth. Okay, so it sounds like Benjamin Franklin was just interested in the Iroquois. However, to my knowledge, I don't believe that Benjamin Franklin invented our entire system of government and pushed everything through. Like, he was one of the people involved, right? But he wasn't the only guy inventing it. Thomas Jefferson was one of the Enlightenment thinkers, and he was very integral in the whole thing. So, I don't know. I distrust everything they say by default anyway.
was divine.
Yes, which was divine. By grandmothers. It was a grandmother's
I
council.
always say women are going to win this force or lose it for us.
We need to win it and return to the grandmother's council that regulates, our own families, our own lives, where our food comes from.
Wait, she said we need to return to Grand Council? Is that what she
Or
said?
lose it for us.
We need to win it and return to the grandmother's council that
Oh, Grandmother's Council.
regulates, our own families, our own lives, where our food comes from, every law, because that's how the United States was meant to be, that
That's
it
right.
came from the people.
That's right.
It didn't come from the oligarchs and the Hollywood stars to tell the people, well, you aren't going to be on the cool side if you don't do this.
Right.
And to brainwash all the young people to pretend they're cool too.
This is not happening.
Well, they're not cool. They're just stupid looking ghouls.
They're lost.
And the grandmothers need to start smacking their ass in line, and they can.
It's like that one lady that sees her son at a BLM march.
Oh,
and
I
sees him in
love
the
her.
crowd,
Video
and she
ever.
proceeds to beat his ass all the way home.
It's the
You
best.
better believe it.
She's the greatest patriot of
That's
this
it.
age.
is.
Right there. Amen.
Right?
I'm not sure what they're referring to. That's really sad. Kid is getting involved. Wow, I can't believe I used Thundershock. Kid's trying to get involved in politics and protest and make his world better, and the grandma is being a complete shithead. Okay.
Amen.
So you're not going to go to prison and be used by them,
That's
which
right.
is what they want for you.
Okay. I don't know why she brought it there.
Plus that, and when they start instituting the draft, the first kids are going to take his BLM over to fight in the Ukraine.
Yes.
Wake up! These grandmothers know it. We know because we've seen it 2 or 3 times in the cycle.
Right.
We have to take control.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
Interesting. Well, in World War II, there was an order that has been real hard to research. I have only found it in like 1 or 2 places, and it was called the Uriah Order. Because back in, I don't know, biblical times, the Old Testament, I think it was King David, right? He was trying to get it on with Bathsheba, but Bathsheba was married to Uriah. And so he gets her pregnant, and then Uriah returns from battle, and he tries to get Uriah to sleep with his wife, gives him some leave, and Uriah was like, I'm too loyal. I'm going to stay on the front and fight with my boys. And then David ordered him to go sleep with his wife or something, right? Isn't that how it went? And he didn't still because he cared too much about God and country. So then David was like, all right, you know what? He cares so much. I'm going to send him to the front lines. So he sends Uriah to the front lines to die, basically. And that's what the Uriah Order was in effect in World War II. Hitler had chaplains sent to the front lines, to the most dangerous parts of battle. And he conscripted church leaders that opposed him as chaplains. So the Uriah Order was basically him using the military to kill off the people that were inconvenient to him. Super hard to find any information on it, though. I looked this up the other day, and I had a lot of trouble finding it. Uriah Order. Yeah, I'm not seeing it on Wikipedia. I've only read about it in a few books that mentioned it. Uriah Order, World War II? Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about it from anywhere. You guys may not even hear about that elsewhere. But anyway, has anybody here heard of that before? The Uriah Order? It's a real thing. I'm writing about it.
Very much
The
so.
Bible says in Judaism that at when they was waiting for Moses to come down, and the heir of Rob, the evil ones, they're the ones that said we got to build a golden calf to Horus, the Egyptian god.
Mm-hmm.
And they told all the
To Horus?
Israelite women, you got to take off your nose rings and your bracelets and your earrings, and so we can melt them down to this idol. Well, there were
Yes, we've all read the book of Exodus. Thank you for recapping it for us, Roseanne.
600,000 women who said, and then Moses came down.
Okay, where did she get that? Where did she hear that? How does she even know what number of people or how many people there were there? I've never heard that. Has anybody ever heard that before?
And
That's
then,
right.
all hell broke loose. But in Judaism, it says that those 600,000 women took an oath to each other that the next time it get really bad, they're coming back, their spirit will come back, and it wouldn't just be 600,000, it'd be many.
Right.
And they would be here to lead our way back to God's voice on
right.
Mount
Direct
Sinai.
connection. Right. A direct connection with God, which
A
we all
direct
have.
connection, which we do have.
Oh my God.
But they keep telling us we don't.
Well, that's what Jesus got killed for, because he said, you see this, you see all this, you see all the temples, or whatever you want to put in Christian terms, when he says, you don't need this crap. You have a direct connection. They were not going to allow that.
They still
and
hate
here's
that.
the deal. We, to this day, have a direct connection
We
of
do.
how our country goes because it's our God-given right.
That's
and we're
right.
going through the same deception all
The
over.
very-
You want to hear something really interesting, actually, that I've been, working on, researching and all that junk? There's a tenet, I guess, of the Catholic Church where they believe that God didn't just pass down his knowledge, his information through the Bible, through his word, and through Jesus. He also passed it down through culture. So they believe that their first pope was St. Peter, I think, or whatever. And Peter carried on the Christian culture throughout everything. It just continued on from pope to pope. And that was part of God's like expectations and commandments and everything too. Well, interestingly enough, the Jews had a similar version. So there was a subset of Jews that believed that God's commands were only in like the Old Testament writings. And then there were other Jews that believed that God passed down the culture from Moses. Like he had oral commandments, not just written commandments. And they were supposed to live by the culture that existed at the time. So the group that believed that the culture was important from that time and that nobody else could be a Jew except for them because they have the culture, that group was called the Pharisees, also known as Rabbinical Judaism. They're modern day Jews. Other Jews, other Jewish like subsets don't exist anymore because it was kind of just eliminated. Like with, okay, the suffix Holocaust means entire. So there was an event called the Catholicost back in the I think the 500s or something, where Catholicism took over everything, and there was no other Christian group. There was a Jewish version of that, the Jew Holocaust, I guess, or the Pharisolocaust maybe is what they'd call it, where the Pharisees took over all of Judaism. Fascinatingly. Anyway.
Very same. It's that time again.
Yes.
It's time to leave Egypt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holocaust, by the way, means fire. Burning everything. Everything burns, basically. So Pharisolocaust, I mean Pharisees take over everything. Catholicost is Catholics take over everything. Holocaust is fire takes over everything.
Yeah, well, all that came after, but when people decided to leave slavery in Exodus, that says 2/3 of the slaves did not want to go.
No, because they were comfortable. They were fed, even though they were suppressed.
Okay, that's not real. I don't know who needs to hear this, but the pyramids were not built by slaves. That whole thing about Moses was fake. Moses is not a real person. Mag-Holocaust, yeah.
And people don't realize that
they
today.
Were getting their benefits.
Democrats.
So, well, look, slavery's worse today than at any, they only said like, 1.6% of people in the United States actually had slaves. So that's a con, but we won't go there.
What? No. Okay, let's find this out. What percent of U.S. households had a slave? It's way higher than that, I believe. Let's find out. Non-slaveholders, slaveholding 1860. That's probably an okay year to go by, right? 1860, 4.5 million African Americans in the United States. Okay, 15% of white families owned between 1 and 6 slaves. That's what it's saying. 9% of white families owned 7 to 39 slaves. And 1% of white families owned 40 or more slaves. That's what this is. Percent of slaves held. I'm not sure I understand what this statistic means. Yeah, it's really hard to understand what they're trying to communicate here. I wish they had a graph instead, but yeah, 75% of white families did not own slaves. Non-slave holders was a total of 76%. Oh shoot, am I getting, or did I just, 17.2% of Americans owned slaves, between 1 and 9 slaves. And 6.6% owned 10 to 99 slaves. And 0.1% owned over 100 slaves. So there's the answer. Now, what did he say? One more time.
Yes. That says 2/3 of the slaves did not want to go.
No, because they were comfortable. They were fed, even though they were suppressed. And people don't realize that
they
today.
They were getting their benefits.
Democrats.
So, well, look.
Is he saying that the Democrats are the slaveholders here or something? This is like really offensive, actually, in all seriousness.
Slavery's worse today than at any, they only said like 1.6% of people in the United States actually had slaves. So
no, that's false. That's just a lie. He's just making this shit up. Where did he hear this? It was, God, what would the percentage be? I would say it's probably like 20% of people held slaves total, 20 to 25%.
That's a con, but we won't go there. But the fact is we're enslaved more. Debt, credit cards, keeping up with the Joneses. Here's what you wear. Here's what you must be. It's crap. It's all crap slavery. And
I used to freak out about debt and stuff long time ago. And then I realized, I don't go to jail for not paying this. It's a bad way to live. You shouldn't do that shit. It really wrecks your life if you're not careful. But I don't stress over debt. I try to pay it, of course, now. I want to get my credit straight and everything, but I don't freak out about it anymore.
And rap music, you see good kids.
It's my life right now in unemployment. They call me almost every day. F them. F them. What are they going to do? Nothing. They're not going to do shit. Don't even worry about it. Do what you can as it's possible to do it. Doesn't mean anything. That's what I'm trying to communicate. Don't even worry about it. Do your best. Don't worry about the rest.
Debt, credit cards, keeping up with the Joneses. Here's what you wear. Here's what you must be. It's crap. It's all crap slavery. And rap music, you see good kids with good
rap music
talent, good voices. All of a sudden, you see them a few years later, and they're tattooed and demonized and teeth
Disney
pickled with
stars.
diamonds.
That's all they're allowed to do by their owners.
That's
What? Oh my God, this is like genuinely offensive. Like seriously, what is wrong with her?
right. They need to look a certain way to inspire thuggery instead of
Because they got to have somebody put in the prison and then send
There you
to
go.
the army.
There you go.
And
Two things.
It's like just disgusting. That's a system of slavery.
Jake's
Mind slavery.
throwing referee flags on
No,
us 'cause we could go on forever.
I just want you to introduce yourself because who you are and where you come from, just because we're going to get into it. And then before we do
I
that, real
think he
quick,
just
Dude, we are 20 minutes into it, bro. That ship has sailed.
said who he is
Well,
very
I mean-
well. But where he comes from is you have about 10,000 patents and you've done all these great things. The GRC code,
QR.
whatever the hell.
Right.
On
Did he invent the QR code? No way.
the phone.
Grandmothers.
And-
That's why they can't do
Shut up. And then you figured out how to treat cancer. I mean, you've done.
I'm a conundrum. I'm a nerd hiding out in a biker's body, right? And so
Hiding out in a biker's body? Is that what he just said? A biker's body? He thinks that he's a biker? Okay.
God gave me a gift, but I tell people, and by the way, a press story wrote this one time long ago and used it against me. I said, God loves me twice. And what I said was, God gave me gifts,
Yeah, he did.
but he actually gave me the insight to use them because there's a lot of talented
let's be
derelicts in
really
the thing,
real.
right?
God gave you trauma that you fought and
better believe
liberated
it.
yourself
That's
Oh my
out
God.
of, and it made you way smarter.
You better believe it. And I turned the trauma, looking where the next attack's going to come from. When's the next shoe going to drop? I learned
360
to
view.
step out and look.
Mhm.
And it's through that I can see the various patterns and stuff and I can see where things are broken. And in the invention world, I create things. Like I'll give you an example. When you go to an airport and you don't use a boarding pass anymore and you do it on your phone, that's me. When you go through a toll booth and you don't throw change anymore, you just got the repeater in your card, it can link to your credit card, it knows who you are. Those are all my patents. I just understand how things work, how to make them simpler, and understand patents is the ability to see the future where everything's headed because you got to be way ahead of the curve.
Yep.
Oh, I see. So what he's saying is he patented ideas, but did not actually build them. He knew that it was eventually going to move to this thing, but didn't know how to produce it, so he just patented it. So the next sorry son of a bitch who actually produced it would have to purchase the patent from him, right? QR code was created by a Japanese guy. Okay. So is this guy just like completely full of shit? Is he just like a scumbag that takes advantage of people by getting patents before they even exist or whatever? Is that what it is? Like, I think he's lying here. Is he lying? So debt is slavery. Having a job is entertainment is slavery. Patents are slavery. That's a lot of slavery. I know, right? But apparently there was like no slavery basically in the 1860s, you see. All slavery is just today. Way more slavery today. Oh my God, dude. QR code is ubiquitous because it is not patented. Is he just like full of shit? Is he lying about everything right now? He seems to be lying about everything. Oh my God.
You have to have foresight.
And
It's like VHS. VHS is not patented, like the format VHS tapes. And people would produce VHS tapes like nonstop. They'd pump those things out. Anybody could because you didn't have to, purchase a right to the what's the word? The format, the material, or whatever. It's not the same as today. Nowadays, Blu-ray is owned by Sony, like the format Blu-ray. You have to get rights from Sony to produce a Blu-ray. It's a lot harder to do nowadays, but anyway.
those are my gifts. And I can understand where it's headed, What do we need to do? What needs to be created? And how can we solve this? And that's what happened. I was doing medical work. I was working in the nano field to see cancer and to see disease states and to be able to treat even common colds before they become a problem. It's like we were talking, a woman doesn't need to feel her breasts and all of a sudden find the pea of cancer, right? The size of a pea. That's when it's technically too late. You want to find it when it's a fraction the size of the grain of sand, but we don't have technology to do it. And then when it comes to medicine, it's
Well, now we do. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but AI is detecting it sufficiently now, which is incredible. Oh my God, AI has done so much for the world. It's crazy.
about money. It's not about curing.
Right.
We were talking I have a lot of patents on what's called lateral flow chromatology. You know it as the birth test you wee on to see if you get the blue line. It's called lateral flow chromatography. You can tell every disease state in the world by urine.
Oh.
Prostate cancer, you name it.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know about every disease, but okay, go on.
By urine. And the cost of the test to produce an average test, 2 cents.
Wow. Well,
Okay, jump forward, not listening to their stupid ads. There we go.
twc.health/RB.
Hey, Alpu, welcome. Oh, no, Owen, he's not lying. He's just providing alternative facts or some such nonsense. Yeah, exactly. Alternative facts.
Use the code RB, save $30 free shipping right now.
But do you know why they do blood testing only?
money.
So they can charge $5 or $6 grand.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
No,
And
it's
that's why
because
they
it's...
don't develop-
Sorry. No, it's because it's more accurate. Blood testing is more accurate and more, what's the word here? It's more verified, more guaranteed, for one thing. And for another thing, some illnesses are bloodborne only. Like hepatitis C, bloodborne only. It's not in the urine. Same with like HIV or whatever. What other things do they test with blood? Here's another thing. Drug tests. You can do drug tests with urine, but blood tests are more accurate. They provide more information. For example, you can test for alcohol or LSD with blood tests, but it's really, really shortly after. Like, it has to be within just like 24 hours or something, I think, for those two. But not with urine, to my knowledge, because some of it doesn't metabolize. Can you patent the idea to a cure for a cancer? I think you can, as long as you describe it in great detail. Even if you don't build it, as long as it's described, because you have to describe it in the patent, and anybody can go in and look at the patent to make sure that they're not violating it, or to look it up if there's some kind of a lawsuit or something. Back long and long ago, Nintendo famously made something called the NES lockout chip. It was called the Rabbit chip, maybe? Anyway, they made the NES lockout chip where it was like an algorithm that had to be calculated before the NES would unlock and allow a game to play. And a company named Tengen tried to reproduce the lockout chip, because if they can reproduce it, if they can break it, then they can produce NES games without having to go through Nintendo to do so. But they couldn't. They couldn't do it. They tried reverse engineering. They could not figure it out. So they went to the patent office and said, we have a lawsuit ongoing with Nintendo right now, and we need to look at their NES lockout chip patent so that we can prepare for the lawsuit. And the patent office is like, oh, okay, sure, let them in. You can't take the documents out of the patent office. You have to look at them there. So they had some engineers go in, read through the patent documents, and then leave, and then reproduce it. And sure enough, they did. They reproduced the lockout chip, and then got sued to shit afterward, of course. That's super illegal. Anyway, the point is that you have to describe a patent. You have to describe a document or an item or whatever, the process in patent documents.
And I'm in that whole industry, and I'm developing for that industry because everything's become a racket. And so it was in that, and understanding how to use nanoforensics, nanoanalytics, and I was training cameras on mobile phones to do a lot of this work in diagnostics.
This guy sounds like he's completely full of shit and a total scumbag to me, but I don't know.
That when I saw all of this stuff go nuts with the election, I knew I could
Of 2020?
Of 2020. I'll tell you, let's go back to October of 2020. Bernie Sanders
Mhm.
goes on Jimmy Fallon's program.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Fallon asked him, so what do you think's going to happen with the election? And
I
here's
remember
what Bernie
this.
says. And he says it real quick. Well, we don't know what's going to happen, but Trump is going to be winning. It's going to be big. He's going to claim he won. But then you're going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. And then you're going to wake up and find that Biden's your president because of.
Yeah, the red mirage. Everybody knew this was going to happen. Every political commentator from here to Texas, every analyst, everybody was aware that voting day votes were going to favor Trump, but mail-in ballots, which couldn't be counted in large part until after polls closed, are going to favor Democrats. And it's going to look like Donald Trump is winning, and then it's going to flip to Biden. Or at least Biden's votes are going to be counted after that point. Yes, of course. This is not a surprise. Are you serious? He must know, right?
Georgia, Wisconsin.
He was using his phone camera to do nanotech research for cancer. Is that what he just said? Yes. I believe that is, in fact, what he just said. Yes.
But then you're going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. And then you're going to wake up and find that Biden's your president because of Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. He names every state and says it's the ballots.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the mail-in ballots that did it because it took them forever to count, which I can show you was a total joke.
Of course.
And then he says Trump's not going to leave office.
Right.
Now, that was a week before the election. Now,
Yeah. Is that a sign to anybody else that everybody knew this is how it was going to turn out? Everyone knew this is what Trump was going to do? Really?
never saw.
Man is saying Wisconsin. That's funny. Is he saying Wisconsin? Never noticed.
Bernie with the On More work on the Psychic Friends Network. Did you? How the hell did you know that? Down to the time they would stop counting to the exact states.
Yeah.
Brother, there was a timeline on when they're allowed to count. That is how he knew. This stuff was public. Oh my God, dude. This is insane.
I never saw Bernie with the On More work on the Psychic Friends Network. Did you? How the hell did you know that? Down to the time they would stop counting to the exact states.
Yeah.
And it's because there's all messaging and they all know, and they knew it was going to be mail-in ballots.
November 3rd, and it's been said that we won't know the results until days later. When do you think we'll know the results?
All right. Jimmy, you raise an important point, and I hope the American people understand it because this is something I worry about. My view is every vote must be counted. For reasons which I don't have the time to get into tonight, you're going to have a situation, I suspect, in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, other states, where they are going to be receiving huge amounts of mail-in ballots. And unlike states like Florida or Vermont, they're not being able, for bad reasons, to begin processing those ballots until, I don't know, election day, or maybe when the polls close. That means you're going to have states dealing with perhaps millions of mail-in ballots. Here is my worry. What polls show and what studies have shown is that for whatever reason, Democrats are more likely to use mail-in ballots. Republicans are more likely to walk into polling booths on election day. It is likely that the first votes that will be counted will be those people who came in on election day, which will be Republican.
Yeah, this is exactly the problem. How is it that these people, he's just using basic logic. He's not using like clairvoyance.
And here is the fear, and I hope everybody hears that. It could well be, and I don't know what's going to happen, nobody does, but it could well be that at 10 o'clock on election night, Trump is winning in Michigan, he's winning in Pennsylvania, he's winning in Wisconsin, and he gets on the television, he says, "Thank you, Americans, for reelecting me. It's all over. Have a good day."
Yep, that's exactly what Trump did.
But then the next day and the day following, all of those mail-in ballots start getting counted, and it turns out that Biden has won those states. At which point Trump says, "See, I told you the whole thing was fraudulent. I told you those mail-in ballots were crooked, and we're not going to leave office." So that is a worry that I and a lot of people have. So the results, we don't know what's happened. Maybe the results will be on election day.
When you were talking about consent earlier with evil,
So the point is that we all understood how this is going to play out. I can't even believe that they play that clip. They've decided to embrace it. That's incredible.
we talk about this all the time. There is and not to go too far off, but a satanic consent thing where, what's it called, Ma, where
Satanic consent thing.
they throw it out there, and if you don't reject
Well,
it,
they
it's
have
consent.
to tell you what they're
But
going to do.
It's a tenet of the satanic religion.
Yeah.
What? What's he talking about? Oh my God. I'm sorry. I got to write this one down. This is too much. Hold on. Let me write this one down. Pause the game. All right. Roseanne and Jovan Pulitzer. Satanic consent. That's 27. A tenet of Satanism is that you have to reject what they suggest or you consent to it. What are they talking about right now? This is just fabricated bullshit all the way down.
Do you know what that's called? Did
Politics.
you know about this?
Yeah, no
But it's a real thing. So anyway,
Yes.
to what you said earlier, that's interesting that he did it a week before and
It's not a real thing.
no one said
There's even more that, I mean, he nailed it. He nailed
Yeah.
the states, said it would be the ballot, said at 10 o'clock you're going to go to
Really? Is it not connecting? This guy has to know, right? He must know.
bed because they're not going to be counting. How would he know?
Right. They never
And it's
stopped to count
because
before.
it's all agreed.
Right.
But they, on that side that are trying to take us over, they must state it.
Right.
Yeah.
When Biden said we put together the whatever
The
he said, the
greatest
largest fraud
fraud.
network,
Yeah.
he wasn't misspeaking.
No, he wasn't.
He was telling the truth.
That's why they hate him, because he lets it leak out. I said, he's
Oh, please.
such a bad liar.
Right.
He doesn't even give a
Right.
shit. He goes, yeah, I'm starting a war with Russia. What the hell are you going to do about it?
Right.
Okay, I don't have any idea what they're talking about. These people are so full of shit.
They call it directly like it is, and we have been taught not to pay attention to
Right.
their words, like the use of our democracy. Democracy is going to go. Well, we're a constitutional republic.
Right.
And
Right.
democracy is rule of the mob,
That's right.
and that's their constituents
Oh, you don't want democracy, huh? You think democracy is a bad thing? Okay, interesting.
in the street.
right.
They're burning all the shit
That's
down.
right. Everything's about words. That's why there's white supremacy now. That's everything is about. Well, I'll give you an example. We all knew there was trouble in 2020. We saw the crap on TV. We know there was issues in the elections. But let's go to William Barr, who we thought was going to do the right thing.
No, we
Now
knew.
you heard Barr on television say, we looked into it. We put investigators, I'm paraphrasing, into it, and we took a
He
look at
worked
it.
for Bush.
And yes, he did. We did not believe there was enough fraud.
There wasn't enough fraud. The reason he framed it this way is because there's always some an asshole somewhere in the United States trying to cheat at something. That's always been a problem. And it will always be a problem. One guy voted for his dad, who had the same name as him but had died earlier, I don't know, a few months earlier or something, and they caught him. So yeah, there was fraud, of course, but there was not enough voter fraud to overturn the election by any stretch.
To make a material difference in the outcome of the election. Now, let me explain what that means.
Oh, good.
These people are so full of shit.
Good.
If you and I were sitting in Georgia, let's say hypothetically, and that's our state, and our candidate lost by 100,000 votes, and we knew it was dead people and illegals and everything like that. Now, you and I partner and do this, and we investigate, and we find all this illegal stuff, and we come up with 90,000 absolutely confirmed illegal aliens voting and dead people.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. There are no confirmed anything with people voting, dead people or aliens or whatever. There's none of that.
And now we go over to the Attorney General, Secretary of State.
Can I just tell you what my younger son said?
Sure.
He said, God, if all these dead people are voting Mom, don't you think they'd be pro-choice?
They're pro-life.
They'd
Very
be
true.
voting Republican, not
Yeah,
Democrat.
They'd be voting Republican. You're
Pro-li-
right. They'd be
pro-life.
pro-life. They want to live again.
Yeah.
So think about this. So you and I find 90,000.
Mhm.
Now here's the deal. Ready? We judge every one of these rat bastards by our standards.
That's right.
And so what
They
you
don't
do?
have our standards.
They do not. So here's what happens. We walk into a Secretary of State or an AG,
God, this guy is so insufferable.
and we said we found 90,000 illegals voting and dead people. Now, we know our candidate lost by 100,000. We think logically they'll go, holy smoke, we can't have cheating in the elections. Let's fix this.
Right.
No.
That's what we
enough.
would do.
Right.
Here's the rules on the books.
Wow.
It is required for you, without their help, to be able to prove your case, how it determined the outcome of the election, and have enough. So if you and I walked in
Like, that's just a lie.
with 110,000, they're going to try to knock off 10,000 as not valid to get us back under that 100. Why?
Not enough.
Because it's not enough to make a material difference to the outcome of the election. And that's
Oh my God, dude. These people are in a fantasy land.
exactly how the law is written.
Snaky as fuck.
Yeah, you better believe it. It's
What'd you
horrible.
call
You know why, though? Because they believe, Marxists who are Luciferian,
Right.
they believe,
Right. Communazis.
well, that first of all, they think Lucifer's smarter than God,
Right.
and that he's the enlightened one,
Right.
not God.
Well, I mean, his name means light. So, yeah, there's that.
God's a dummy to them.
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
that-
we've all been lied to. That's what they say.
Yes. It's the big
Yeah.
lie. Beauty
Oh my God, dude. Please come back to reality.
and sexiness and
Mhm.
appeal and the power of the airways.
Yeah, which is mind blowing because they're on the other side. They're not
Wasn't she about to say something?
like us.
No. No.
And so they think that those of us who believe in God and law and the Constitution and like the Constitutional Republic of the United States
Correct.
of America, they think we're the Nazis.
That's right.
That's why
I mean, I don't believe that Roseanne hates people for intrinsic qualities about them, but she is part of a rebranded Nazi death cult without a doubt.
they keep on saying white racists or whatever they say.
White supremacists and
They
Marxists
think
and Nazis.
we're
White supremacists have taken over the movement. Absolutely.